All right, YouTube, it has been half-jokingly suggested that the United Kingdom should simply become the 51st state of the United States. Actually, it'd be different than that. The 51st state would be like England, Wales, and Scotland, and North Ireland would also have to be states. They'd be separate. The idea is, of course, the UK, same language, English is spoken, kind of similar cultural background. Ultimately, the United States was formed by a bunch of people that fought off the Brits. Was originally owned by the British Empire. It would be kind of funny. It would be admittedly amusing for the U.S. then to own that land as well. Sort of a reversal of fortunes. The British Empire did collapse. The American Empire, of course, is thriving and doing just fine. People who say the United States is not long for this world, keep waiting. You'll be waiting for another 100 years unless there's a nuclear war, by the way. So get used to Western hegemony for a while. It won't be China, by the way. It'll be something else. Maybe India more than China. I know, Pooh and Lou aside, it's no joke, honestly. But yes, it may be suggested just half-jokingly, but there is kind of a precedent. Technically, I will say this, technically speaking, if the people of any country in this world held a referendum to ask the U.S. to annex them, sort of dissolve the government, become a state or series of states, it could be considered. It's actually legal. There's no prohibition on the United States absorbing other countries. Would I support, then again, the UK becoming a series of states or one state or whatever? Yes and no. I think the UK would be just fine for that. And it would be nice to be able to go over and see, the British Isles and not have to have any form of identification beyond a driver's license or something like that. Economic powerhouse. It would certainly spite the Euro-friendly folks and certainly fuck with the European Union to see them join the only economic competitor in the world with a large enough economy to compete on an even keel and then some. But at the same time, I think the UK already has some fucking difficulties. It's also quite some distance from the United States. Be a little bit like Hawaii-esque when you really think about it. It's also densely populated. The free movement wouldn't really give that much of a benefit to entrepreneurs in the US. It would give a huge benefit, certainly, to those in the UK, because there's plenty of spare land here. The UK is extremely densely concentrated. It's very crowded. I would say overcrowded to an extreme level. There shouldn't be over 60 million people in the UK, in that land area. It's like Bangladesh levels almost, honestly, or like German population density levels. It's insane, to tell the truth. But ultimately, I think, I'd be friendly towards the idea. Then again, I would also be friendly towards Canada and the U.S. joining in a union. Now, I'm not talking about the North American Union. I'm talking about straight-up annexation of other countries with their provinces becoming states. For instance, if Canada became a state, Quebec, it wouldn't become one state. Quebec would be a state, and then Alberta would be a state, and so forth. BC would become a state. And, the general idea. I think that would be more beneficial, especially because it would connect Alaska to the continental United States and sort of unify, the vast majority of the continent, whereas right now North America is predominantly covered by 3 nations. It would only be 2, and one of them would be larger than Russia. That's actually true. If the Canadians and the Americans become one, it becomes a nation larger than Russia. In fact, it rivals the size of the Soviet Union, minus maybe Kazakhstan or something like that. But yeah, it can be done. It is legal to do that. There are other states in the world, by the way, that consider themselves the de facto 51st state. The Philippines, because of extremely high pro-American sentiment there, has considered Taiwan, because Taiwan cannot fend for itself against China, which still claims it as part of China. The Taiwanese, of course, consider themselves the real Chinese, and the communists as a bunch of traitors. They're backed by the U.S. They are referred to as a de facto state. Japan is referred to as a de facto state. Some of these small Central American countries, like Panama, certainly would be one of them. something like that. Puerto Rico, though, is the real 51st state. I mean, we should admit them as a state at some point. It's the size of Connecticut, similar population. It does have a functioning economy. Tourist haven with American investment, it'd be just fine. It should be done. I want to go to Puerto Rico and it be a state. Okay? I think Guam should also be admitted. I think we should admit all of our territories as states. If we did that, we'd be at 54. If we admit the UK, we're at 55. And if we can get Canada, it's at 56. Now, I think we need one more star on there unless we rearrange things just a little bit. So maybe Ireland, that would work, Australia, or the Philippines. If the people of the Philippines honestly wanted to do away with autonomy and become a U.S. Territorial asset, they are technically capable of doing that with quite a simple vote. I don't think people around the world realize how simple it would be to petition to join the U.S. Now, would the people of the U.S. necessarily accept every state that petitions to do so if they all did? Not necessarily, but it can be done. I'm not joking. It can actually physically be done. And this entire video is half joking because, again, while it's possible to do, is it actually going to happen? There's no chance the UK would petition to join the US. The people who wanted to leave the EU did so primarily with an aim to sovereignty. Those that wanted to stay in the EU, often they don't like the United States. They think we're like gun-toting far-right-wing warmongers or something, and that Merkel and socialism are good, and multiculturalism is good, and diversity and so forth. So I don't think it's going to happen, even though it'd be funny to think about having the American flag flying over London. It'd be pretty spectacular, though. 4th of July would definitely get interesting as far as the celebrations over there. What do people do? Are they going to celebrate it or not? I'm not exactly sure. I guess it depends on whether they're a unionist or a nationalist at that point, not just in North Ireland. But yeah, it would be a funny thing to think about. But I think the highest likelihood goes to Puerto Rico becoming the 51st state officially. Then although the term 51st state that's used so loosely to apply to all these weird situations, then it's actually officially taken by somebody. We have to start using 52nd state or something. That's about all. Peace out.